I'd just like to welcome Mitch Douglas and John Falkenhagen to the webinar now. Mitch is a sheep producer from Western Flat. He's been using eID for about the last 4 years. And John is from a goat producer from the Meningie region who's been using eID for 9 years. So they have got some experience with this. So we thought we'd bring them on to ask them a few questions. Just before I go on, just a gentle reminder that we have got a Q&A function in the webinar tonight. There's a box at the bottom of your screen. So please feel free to pop your questions in there. We've got ISC and PIRSA representatives on hand to answer them. So yeah, drop them in as they come to mind. Okay, so we've got Mitch and John, welcome.
Thanks, Sheree. Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you here. We're just going to go through a few questions with both of you, so we look forward to hearing what you've got to say. But I guess the first thing is just if you could outline, perhaps we'll start with you, Mitch, some of the key benefits that you've found from using eID.
Yeah, definitely. And probably John and I are probably going to overlap a little bit here as we go through it for the reasons why we implemented eID to start with. But probably the first one is time saving, being able to draft mobs of sheep for myself. By myself, I work all by myself. So being able to easily draft mobs of sheep to save time has been a big thing for me. And also to track data, to track the data that I want to keep note of in fertility and fleece weight and weight gains of my livestock and stuff like that. You know, your data and your numbers tend to not lie, whereas your eyes sometimes can be a little bit deceiving. So that's probably the two big reasons for myself getting on board.
Excellent. What about you, John?
Yeah, Mitch is right. We're going to overlap. Initially, it was time saving. So we used to tattoo, would take us 4 days, me and a staff member, whereas we went to eID tags, it was 2 staff members did it in a day. So save 75% of the time. One of the other things is accuracy. If you've got to read a tag, we all do it. If you're doing 1,000 in a day, someone's going to read 643 instead of 346. And then that stuffs up a whole day's work. If you can scan it, no one can get it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, massive benefits there, like just in the, less people, much need for less people, quicker, and the accuracy is just, can't beat that. Thanks for that, John. Then I guess the next one we had here is just, can you share a couple of examples of how using eID is benefiting the production side of your business? You want to start with you, John?
Yeah, it's that data tracking and saving time. Mitch is right. We're tagging at day 1 now. We can weigh them so much quicker, scan straight to the phone as opposed to trying to type in a number. Preg scanning straight to the phone. That's just how quick it is and why we're using it.
Yeah, excellent. Mitch, have you got any examples of just how things are benefiting the production side of things?
Yeah, probably one. I'm pretty big on sort of early weaning with my livestock, sort of the oldest being 12 weeks, youngest being sort of 6 weeks, so it's pretty early. And everything's weighed at weaning time, and then we reweigh sort of a month later with a worm egg count in place as well. And I guess what that does is you can just track how your livestock are tracking, and if they're not performing, you can start sort of pointing fingers at why they may not be performing. Whereas if you're just going in blind and looking at them visually, you might tend to think they're not putting on weight or they're doing more than what they actually are. So that's probably a big one for me is, just tracking individual weight gains on, post-weaning, which can be a pretty important time to really see how they are progressing.
Very good. Then another one, I guess when you're starting out with something new, there's always some challenges that might need to be overcome. So I just thought it might be good to ask you, John, we'll go to you now, John, just how have you overcome any challenges that you've encountered since you started using eID on your goats?
One of the big challenges, especially we started with dairy goats, retention rate, infection rate, retention rate low, infection rate high, easily overcome by using disinfectant and taking the extra 10 seconds to put it in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
And that just solves all the problems. I talk about it being quick and easy, but the bit that you take your time with is getting that tag right the first time, use disinfectant and get it placed right, and then your life is easy ever after.
Mm-hmm. And that's helped with retention issues, John?
Yeah, retention issues,
Yeah.
I would say in my herd, 99%. Easy.
Yeah. And that photo there's showing a good placement?
Yep, that's where you want to put them.
Yeah.
Middle third of the inner third is how I describe it. And for us, that's exactly where it needs to be.
Okay, fantastic. So disinfectant and take some time at the beginning. Get it right. Okay, good stuff. Mitch, any challenges you've overcome in your journey with this?
Yeah, probably the big one for myself, although you might laugh being how old I am, but technology was probably one of the harder things to get on board with. But with good customer service with the company that I deal with, it was overcome quite easily. And then you can really start to dive into many different pieces of data that you want to collect, and you really could be there forever of what you want to try and chase in what you're trying to produce. But once you get over that hurdle in how to use it effectively, it really becomes quite simple and pretty easy to use.
Okay. And so with all that data, I imagine, is there still parts of that data that you still see room for you to explore, like that you could apply?
Yeah, huge data. I mean, there's really only a few traceabilities that I'm capturing at the moment, and you could continue to go further and further and further. How far I will go from a commercial producer's point of view is unsure. At the moment, as I said, it's mainly, fertility, fleece weights, and weight gains and stuff like that. But I mean, if you wanted to, you can keep going into muscle scanning and collecting that data and going further and further and further. So at the moment, I think I'm just scratching the surface. But now that I'm getting involved with it, I'm getting a bit more of a drive and understanding and passion for it. You can just keep going.
Very good. Okay, Mitch, just while I've got you there, I just wondered if you could give us some thoughts on infrastructure that you think, that you need to get started, or, I imagine the sky's the limit. You can, so maybe take us through what you think's where a good place to start is.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, getting tags and a implant, implant gun, for tagging is where you start, and then get a wand from any of the reputable brands that you want to go with. You can then go into an automatic drafter and go from there. So the initial outlay for cost can be minor, and then, as I said, you can keep going, and yes, it can get greater, but I guess the more you spend, the quicker things become. It saves money on labor and stuff like that as well.
Excellent. What about you, John? Any tips for goat infrastructure you need from the goat side of things?
I'm a bit like Mitch. You can keep it really basic. If all you're doing is purchasing stock and all you need to do is scan for the database, you just need a wand. Most of them come with data packages now. But it's how much data and what data. Mitch is scanning fleeces. I don't have those. So we're after different data, and you've just got to find what suits you. And there's heaps of things out there. So the basics is a wand, and then scale up or down from there. Talk to as many people as you can before you purchase. I mean, I purchased that gun there, which is a really smart one. In the end, I probably only needed a really dumb one because my smarts is in the phone. So I would talk to as many people, go to as many field days to get what suits you, because what suits Mitch doesn't suit me, doesn't suit you. And there's so many different things. So get the information before you purchase.
Yeah, I reckon there'll be a lot out there, lots to choose from. So that's really good advice. I guess just while I've got you there, John, with this national rollout of the tags coming through, I was just wondering what your insights might be on, what possibilities you see flowing from this once it's nationally rolled out. How do you see this benefiting industry?
I think it can benefit industry in many ways. Australia exports 70% of its produce, so we command premium markets, and this is a way of ensuring that we can continue guaranteeing to our customers. If we ever have, worst case scenario, a biosecurity threat, this gives Denise the power to trace it very, very quickly. And then from an on-farm perspective, I mean, the sky's the limit of what we can use it for. So it's only positives from me.
Excellent stuff. What about you, Mitch?
Yeah, similar to what John just said, but
yeah,
potentially producing better quality, meat or fleece or whatever it might be from a sheep point of view, improve productivity on each individual farm. I mean, we talk about how short, the labour shortages at the moment, how difficult it is to find labour. This could have a massive impact on that to try and get through the issues we're having at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then I guess I just had a general question or general call out for any advice, just any broad advice you might have for producers out there that are, getting started on this. Mitch, any just general advice you might have?
Yeah, I think John probably nailed just before. Just speak to as many people as you possibly can. Get out to field days. They're always happening. Speak to people. They're not going to buy it. They will help. And yeah, that's probably it. Just as soon as you get involved, it becomes easy. It becomes easier. So yeah, I think John nailed it before about, just getting out to those field days and talking to as many people as possible.
Yeah, sounds good. Absolutely. What about you, John? Any other words of wisdom?
I think that talking piece and getting the tags in right, and once you've done that, you're laughing.